To the Aussie band that became a global success, Little River Band sold over 30 million albums. Plus, they were the first Australian group to break into the American music market and have a US gold album. LRB's songs are timeless, and we'll speak to one of the founding members in a moment. But first, let's remember some of the band's greatest hits.
Curiosity, Gilbert Cat. I'm telling you, I know where it's at. Hang on, help is on its way. I'll be there as fast as I can. Have you heard about the lonesome loser, beaten by the Queen of Hearts every time? Hurry, don't be late. I can hardly wait. I said to myself when we're old, please don't be angry. I'll be back with you real soon. Can you guess where I'm...
So it's hit after hit after hit. Little River Band's Beeb Birtles has just written his memoir. It's called Every Day of My Life, and he joins us now from our Melbourne studios. G'day, Beeb. Welcome to the show. Now, heaps of Aussie rock groups tried to break into the American market. They failed. What do you think it was about Little River Band that made it such a success? What do you put it down to?
I think we had the determination to do it, and of course having three strong songwriters that were writing the music. We were, we kind of just dug in our heels and knew that we were there for the long haul.
And before the LRB, there was a band called Zoot with Daryl Cotton.
I think I remember that.
And Rick Springfield. You guys were quite the sex symbols, especially after you released the single Hey Pinky, which asked more questions than it answers. What response did you get after that?
After Hey Pinky, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the big single after Hey Pinky was Eleanor Rigby, and that, of course, became a huge hit for the group. And it's still being played on radio today around Australia. Of course, Rick Springfield went on into his solo career and everything.
And huge also in the US?
Yeah, yeah.
And then there was Mississippi, which brings us to Little River Band. There were so many hits, but I want to talk about one in particular. Is it true John Lennon made love to Reminiscing and Frank Sinatra named it as one of the greatest songs ever written?
Well, that's what I've heard, but I've actually never seen it in print, so, but it's probably true.
Yes, I'd claim it.
Beeb, you've worked with so many famous people, but you also work with the so-called fifth Beatle, the George Martin. What was that like?
That's right. That was a wonderful experience because it was the first album that we actually recorded away from Australia. We were in the West Indies on an island called Montserrat, where George Martin had Air Studios, and we spent 3-4 weeks there recording the Time Exposure album. That was a really, really great period.
You write that you were the meat in the sandwich between Glenn Shorrock and Graham Noble. Do people have an unrealistic image of what it's like to be in a working band?
I think every working band has its tension between the members. But I really did feel like I was the meat in the sandwich between Glenn and Graham, because Glenn and Graham were probably the two guys in the group who didn't see eye to eye all the time,
right.
And so that's why I say that in my book, actually.
And of course, Beeb, it wouldn't be a rock and roll band without a bit of breakup. We have to talk about the use of Little River Band and the use of the name. Now, you write that it should be now called Little River Brand, and believe it or not,
right,
even though you are fundamental to it, you actually can't perform as LRB. Tell us about this.
No, well, we lost the name of the group, and it was due, happened in a federal court case here, and of course the last man standing in the group was Stephen Housden, who now owns the name, even though he doesn't perform with the group anymore. It was just a real unfortunate situation how all of that happened, But there was nothing we could do about it, and I think we're all at that age now where we're ready to let it go, and because so many people ask us about that very specific thing, and to us it's really just water under the bridge.
And it's, well, as they say, love is a bridge. How does this end up happening, though? Because you hear about it all the time, where the people who everyone associates with being in the band, you, Glenn Shorrock, whoever, don't actually have the rights to the name of the band. Did you end up signing the name away? Do you still own the songs? How does it work?
No, and that's one of the reasons I wrote my memoir, because, you know, I see so many comments on Facebook and other social media pages where, oh, you know, the guy sold the rights to the name. No, I never signed anything away. I never signed the rights to the band away. I left the band, yes, but, you know, legally, I never signed anything away. And so what I write in my memoir, I try to explain that and put it down so that people, you know, can read the truth.
I guess everyone's wondering whether we'll ever see Reform again. Will we see LRB together again?
I don't think so. No, I don't think that's gonna happen. It's, you know, we can't do it without the name. That's the problem. You know, we played some shows as Birtles, Shorrock, Goble, and had some success with that. And but once that folded, I think. We all realised that it wasn't going to go any further than that.
Is there a sense of betrayal or bitterness that still lingers after putting your heart and soul into this band that did so well in the US and then having the name sort of taken away, not being able to perform under that?
Yeah, I don't know whether betrayal is the word. You know, it's just unfortunate how, you know, we lost the name and everything, but what can you do, you know? If it's ruled in the court that way, we basically got to walk away from it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if courts should be involved in rock and roll. It never seems to work well. It'd be like if Pete Best got the name for the Beatles and the others had to perform as McCartney, Lennon, Harrison and Starr.
Yes, exactly.
Not as catchy, is it?
Not quite as catchy.
Can I ask you a different question? I mean, where did you get the name Beeb
That's
from?
what I wanted to
Where does this name come from?
There was a cartoon series in the 60s called The Dick Tracy Show. And there were all these different characters in it, like BB eyes. And, you know, my high school friends started calling me that. All throughout my high school years, I was called BB for some reason. And it wasn't until Darryl Cotton and I got together in our first band that he abbreviated that to Beeb. So it's been my nickname ever since.
You and Darryl Cotton should have done a solo act and you could have been BBC.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Every Day of My Life is out now and it is the perfect Christmas present. Beeb Birtles, very cool name. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.